Well, the health care debate appears to be spilling over big time into the Massachusetts Senate race. 2 months ago, Democrat Martha Coakley had about a roughly 30-point lead in the race to fill Ted Kennedy's Senate seat. And now, well, that has evaporated into a dead heat with Republican Scott Brown. Health care reform has dominated the discussion there. Coakley supports it. Brown says he's the guy who can stop it. Let's bring in Republican Congressman Ed Royce of California. He's on the Financial Services Committee, and Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz. She's a Democrat from Florida and the DNC vice chair. Good to see you both. Representative Wasserman Schultz, a majority of voters who were polled recently in Massachusetts say they're against the health care bills, with 61% saying we just can't afford it. Is this contest a referendum on the Democrats' health care reform?
It really isn't, for two reasons. Number one, keep in mind that voters in Massachusetts, or residents of Massachusetts, already have a pretty significant healthcare insurance program that covers all of them. So the healthcare is not a top-of-mind issue that Massachusetts voters are worrying about going into Tuesday, because they've got health insurance covered. In addition to that, healthcare reform in general, is a hugely significant issue, far beyond the results of one election. And more importantly, if you think about the fact that Massachusetts is a very Democratic state, much more Democratic and blue than most states, it's not likely that the rest of the country is and all eyes are on the results of Massachusetts election on Tuesday to determine the outcome of health care reform.
Representative Royce, independents in Massachusetts make up about half of voters, and roughly 65% of them favor Republican Scott Brown. Remarkably, 17% of Democrats say they plan to cross party lines and vote for Brown. Is that a negative reflection on Coakley as a candidate, or the pending health care bills?
Oh, it's on the health care issue in Massachusetts, in my view, because first, Scott Brown has built his whole campaign around the thought that he'll be the 41st vote against in the Senate against the health care reform bill. And the reason it matters to Massachusetts is in 2006, their Democratic legislature passed a universal health care bill, which has been wildly unpopular. Only 26% of the people there think this has been a success. And the reason it's so unpopular is because first they had a massive problem with the illegal immigrants getting on the program. Then they had a huge problem with cost spikes, $2 billion more than anticipated over the 10-year forecast. And now, on top of all of that, it caused a massive increase in premiums in the state. So the people in Massachusetts are very focused. They're one of the few states that have this mandate on universal health care and are very much opposed to it in the polling. That's why they're rallying around Scott Brown right now.
Yeah, Representative Wasserman Schultz, even Senator Evan Bayh, who's a Democrat, is conceding that perhaps he and his fellow Democrats have overreached. Let's put the quote on the screen. He said this: "I do think there's a chance that congressional elites mistook their mandate. I don't think the American people last year voted for higher taxes, higher deficits, and a more intrusive government. But there's a perception that that is what they're getting." Does he have a point? Did Democrats miscalculate and overreach?
No, not at all. In fact, we are going to, in the next several weeks, pass a historic health care reform plan that will make sure that we can cover everybody. And on Tuesday, Massachusetts voters are going to support Martha Coakley because they're not going to go back. They're not going to turn back the clock. They don't want to go back to the days of George W. Bush and tax cuts for the wealthiest few.
Why did she lose her lead?
Look, I don't know, because it's really important that we focus on the next couple of days. I mean, we can second guess.
You say it's not about health care, but she did have a 30-point lead. I'm wondering, so what is it about then, if it's not about that?
Look. One day, the polls show that she has a 30-point lead. The next day, they show that the race has tightened. Any U.S. Senate race in the country is going to be tight. There are very few blowout Senate races in the United States of America these days. And what's really important is that Scott Brown is totally out of step with the voters of Massachusetts. This is a Democratic state. They don't want a senator who voted to actually deny women rape kits when they go to the hospital. They don't want a senator who's going to vote for taxes.
He would deny deny that he did
just
that.
for the wealthiest few.
He
did
voted
it.
in
I mean,
favor of a conscience clause about morning after pills, not denying them kits.
They don't want a senator who denies covering their own employees with health insurance.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy's priorities are really totally out of step. And on Tuesday, the Massachusetts voters are going to show
Representative
that by
Royce, I'll let you get the last word in. Maybe it's Martha Coakley who's out of step when she says things like terrorists are no longer in Afghanistan, or in the debate saying, quote, we need to get taxes up, or, you know, saying something that offended Boston Red Sox fans that Curt Schilling is a Yankees fan. But
come on.
No, the question is to Mr. Royce. I think I want to be fair here. Mr. Royce?
I'm here.
Yeah, is it maybe just that that this is a candidate, Martha Coakley, who has said some things that don't resonate with people? It's not about health care. It's about some of the other things she's saying.
Let me tell you why I don't think that's true. Only 11% of the people in the state of Massachusetts are Republicans. It's the bluest of blue states. Registration is over, 3-1 in favor of the Democrats. What you have going on here is a reaction to this concept of federal control of health care based upon the experience in Massachusetts with the problems they had with illegal immigrants getting on their universal health care bill, with the costs going up 20% more than anticipated, and with the spiking of premiums that the people of Massachusetts have to pay. And this is why this race is now neck and neck. And I'll just remind everyone, the theme of the campaign by Mr. Brown is, Scott Brown says, I'm going to be the 41st vote against this health care bill in the United States Senate. It's pretty clear to me.
And that's not what people of Massachusetts are going to want to have represent them in the United States Senate.
We'll find out on Tuesday, and thank you both for being here this Sunday in advance of it. Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Ed Royce, thank you both.
Turning now to the devastating